Hi, welcome back to Guessagaingaming. So today, a video which is going to be pretty short, I think. It's kind of in the category of games I've bought in a PlayStation Store sale, but it doesn't fall into the normal category because it's not a game I bought some time ago and haven't tried. It's a game I bought about 2 days ago. It's currently in a PlayStation Store sale, and I was just rummaging through the PlayStation Store summer sale one night and I decided, let me buy this. It's something a bit different, as you can see from the screen. So it's a kind of silly, comedy-ish, dating kind of simulator in a kind of nice art style. It was only £3 something in the sale. I think it usually goes for about 12, so I just clicked on it to buy it one night just for something different to try. So I'll tell you what I thought of it originally, and then I'll tell you something else about it, and it's not really positive, I can tell you that. So firstly, okay, the game looks nice. The art style is fine. It's cartoony, only that when I bought it, so there's no problem with that. There's no voice acting, it's all done in text, but that's fine for a game that retails for like £12. That's okay, I don't mind that. It does have, you can hear it in the background, it has the most annoying music that just continues through most of the game. I don't know why they thought that would be good. If you're not going to have voice acting, then it would be much more desirable, I think, in any game, not just this game, to have music that changes due to the situation in the game. So this background music, which is actually really annoying, would be fine in like an opening scene or something, but when you get different scenes, dramatic scenes, comedy scenes, etc., if it changed all the time, it would be much better. So you get this most of the time. I think this one time I heard the music change a bit, but the music's really irritating. The game itself is, you go through, click on different choices, things to say. You won't, if you played any kind of games like this, you will know what to expect. You go through the game, there's different choices, you click on talk to that one, make that decision, go there, go here. Which was all okay, and I played it one night, and it was quite late when I bought it, so I played it for about an hour one night, maybe two. It's one of those games where, and I kind of knew this from buying it as well, where it's a game you go through and you make choices, and if you don't make the right choices or to other kind of things, you have to go back and do it again. That's fine. I play off and on, I play FMV games sometimes, so I'm used to that scenario. Again, that doesn't bother me. But, and here's the problem with this game, which is why I'm kind of making this video actually, because it's a small game and I wouldn't really have made the video apart from this point. So the problem with this game is that as I was playing the game, I clicked on the premise of this game. It's stated on the advertising for the game is you get to the possibility to date 5 different people. You have to find a date by a certain point, otherwise you die, or something terrible happens, and that's the point of the game. As I was playing the game, I realised that there was like one character, one girl. You're playing as a guy. There was one character girl character that I kept sort of having to, or being able to interact with, and there was another one where when I clicked on it, it said you haven't got the DLC, and I didn't really think a lot about it until I continued in the game, and I realised that it was almost impossible to get to interact with any of the other girls other than in very superficial ways. So you get a cutscene where all the other 4 or 5 girls were in it, or part of some scene, but the only one you could really interact with afterwards was this one girl, and I thought that was kind of odd. I hadn't really thought about it, and because I play a lot of, not a lot, but I played FMV games before, I kind of thought, well, maybe I'm just, not clicking the right choices, and so I didn't think about it. And then the game ended. It's not a long game to go through, and it's only then that by clicking on, just randomly, because I think I was going to kind of go to bed and call it a night then anyway, clicking on DLC, so I realised, to my horror actually, that you can't date any of the other 5 girls. You can only date one of the 5 unless you buy DLCs, and the DLCs aren't, you get a DLC for all of them. There's one for each girl. There's one also that makes, I think it completes a story. There might be 2 that do that, and I find that quite reprehensible. I can't think of any other word. There's other words and they're not very good either. So if this isn't a free game, it's £12 as a normal price, and the DLCs are each about £4 or £5. So if you add up the 4 extra girls, that's another nearly £20. and then you add on the other DLCs, at least one, I think it's two, for another £4 or £5. You're talking about the end up of the game is like nearly £50, which is a lot of money. And so the first thing is an idea where you have a game and you hide the game in DLCs because you can't really play it properly without them. So the game is like cheap, but you actually need all the DLCs to play the game properly. That's very sly, and that's very bad practice. It actually says on the PlayStation Source blog about this game, when you look to buy it, that you get to take 5 different girls. And if it had been more money, I would have complained, because I think that's misrepresentation of what it is, because you don't get to do that. So that's bad. And the fact that you are linked into this game where, and I've never found this in any game, where you've got only one option of one character that you can interact with properly in the game without using DLCs to get the others is ridiculous. I mean, if you want to do that and you've got a free game and all the rest of it is DLC, okay, maybe, but it's still not very good. And really, when you make a game, you need to include, I mean, there's plenty of examples of games that have DLCs that we don't really need, just skins and things we don't want, or games where there's extra content, whether it's more game content or other characters that are DLCs that often we think should be in the game. But this is the most outrageous example I've ever seen, where these 5 characters that you could interact with mainly in the game. The whole point of the game is interacting with these 5 girls, and you can only interact with one unless you buy DLCs. That's absolutely ridiculous. And it's a con. That's all I'm going to say, it's a con, because no game should be like that. If you had, it's much better to make the game with all the characters, and then, okay, you charge 20 quid or whatever you want, £20 for it, and then if you want to add extra characters or extra content, then you do what other games do and you have other characters you can only get from DLC. But to have a game that is involving 5 characters that you can interact with to make a story, and you can only interact with one, so basically you're going to keep getting the same story each time you play it. It's not a long game unless you buy DLC. That's ridiculous and insulting. So I wanted to make this video because I would 100% not recommend this game. One, based on the fact that the music is annoying, really annoying. When you listen to it for like an hour, it's incredibly annoying, and like I said, you know, they should have invested in making slightly different music. That's not difficult to convey different aspects of what was happening in the game. But the most ridiculous thing is, don't buy a game when they've sold a game where you only get one character. You can interact with the others, but only very superficially, and these other characters, like this is a French teacher, you can interact with them, but they're not part of the main point of the game. So you will end up playing the same game loop each time because you can't interact with any of the others. And I've played a number of FMV games. I know this isn't that, but it's similar in the way it is, where there's loads of characters and you don't have to unlock different characters. You unlock characters in the game. Sure, you play the game, you don't make the right choices, and these characters you don't unlock, but not that you need DLC for. And I've played loads of cheaper FMV games on Steam with that, where you go through a whole story and you might not get to interact with certain characters, but that they're in the game, they're just not ones that you have answered the right questions or taken the right path to interact with. Not that you need DLC for. So I think this is an outrageous rip-off, that's what I'm going to say. The game retails for £12. Generally that's a rip-off because it's not £12, because no one is going to play this with just one character. I've played it, it's a short game, and now if I did it again, all I'm going to do is go through having the option to date the same one character, which is not what the game advertises, it's not what it's pretending to be. And the game really is a £40 to £50 game that's hiding all the things you need to play the game properly in DLC that you really need to get. So DayZ I would not recommend, even if it was all included in the game and it was £12 and it wasn't more money with all the DLCs. It's not long, it's pretty basic, and the music is annoying, but it's okay. If it was £12, it had all the content, I would say it's a fun game just for a bit of relaxation and a bit of a light-hearted experience, and a short experience. But it's not great anyway, and the fact that everything is locked behind DLC, forget it. So this is a game I would 100% not recommend. It's not based on some of the games where I think it's difficult or it's awkward, maybe it's just me. This is just trash because of how it's been presented. Not in the aesthetic way, but in the way the content and the game is described on store. So anyway, thanks for watching Guess Again Gaming. Till next time, take care for now.